This conference will now be recorded.
We are going to discuss about the build tool. What is the use of the build tool in real time? Where we need to use the build tool in real time, and what are the best process they have used before build tool came into the market, and how many build tools are available in the market? Which build tool we need to use? First, let's understand what is the use of these build tools. We do have so many build tools are available in the market. Suppose if you can say that we have Ant as one build tool available in the market, and we do have a Maven as a build tool, and we do have a Gradle, and we do have an Ant, and we do have MS build. Like this, we do have some build tools are available in the market. But first of all, understand why we need to use the build tool. In which case we need to use the build tool. What is the purpose of it? That we'll see now. First, let's understand. Developers has committed the files into the version control tool. Suppose if you have a 20 developers, they have uploaded the files into any version control tool. It can be a SVN, or else it can be a CVS, or else it can be a Git, or else it can be a ClearCase, or else it can be a TFS. Any version control tool. They have uploaded the files into the version control tool. That terminology we are going to call it as a commit the files. Once they commit the files into the version control tool, they are going to send one build request to DevOps team. Sends build request to DevOps team. This we are going to call it as a build request. They are going to send one build request to the DevOps team. That we are going to call it as a build request. Either they can send this build request through email, or else they can use Jira as a bug tracking tool. So once there is a ticket in Jira, as a DevOps team, you are going to receive an email. That means that by looking at the request, you can able to identify it. Okay, someone is requesting for a build. At this time, as a DevOps engineer, what are the activities we need to perform? If you don't have a build tool, what we need to do? How to resolve that problems by using the build tool, we'll see now. First, let us assume that they send one build request to the DevOps team. As a DevOps engineer, I'm going to logging into the build server. I'm going to logging into the build server. Server, mission, instance, all are same names. I'm going to logging into the build server, and in the build server, first I'm trying to do the checkout of the code. In the build server, first I'm going to do the checkout of the code. Check out the code from the build server. Sorry, check out the code from version control tool. Either it can be a Git or else CVS or SSVN or else any version control tool. First, we need to download this code, and then we need to do the compile those files, and then we need to, before doing the compilation, we need to set the class path in order to do the compilation of the files, and then we need to create a package. What is the package you want to create? Either it can be a war file, or else it can be a .exe, or else it can be a rar file, or else it can be a tar.gz. Any extension of the package you can create it. That is going to be decide on your project, that is going to be decide on your application. It is not something like we need to create only a var file, we need to create only a .exe file. No, because it purely depends on your application, your customer, your client, your end user, all are same names. Suppose let us assume that you are getting build request every day, so you are logging into the build server. First of all, let's understand what is meant by build server. Suppose if you have a 5 projects, and all 5 projects are a big projects, you are going to take 5 individual missions for your build servers. We are not going to use the same like SVN server or else Jenkins server. No, we are not going to use those servers. We are going to take some separate mission, and that mission was purely dedicated for doing the builds of your an application. That's it. We are not going to install SVN in that mission. You are not going to install any other software in that mission, because that mission was purely dedicated for doing the builds only. So in the build server, we need to do these kind of activities. As a DevOps engineer, when you receive a email, or else when you receive a when you receive a ticket from Jira, you need to do these kind of activities. These are all manual activities. Checking out the code from the version control tool, setting up the class path, and then doing the compilation of the Java files, and then creating a package. How are you going to do the checkout of the code? Maybe you are going to use the Git client in order to do the checkout of the code, right? You are going to use the Git clients. So what are the Git clients are available in the market? Maybe you can use Git EMD, or else maybe you are going to use Git GUI in order to download the code from the Git. And then you are going to set the class path, and then you are going to do the compilation. How will you do the compilation? What is the command to create a compilation? Java C and then file name. Suppose if I have 100 files, how many times you need to trigger the same command? 100 times you need to trigger. Suppose if you have a 10,000 Java files for your application, then you need to trigger the same command for 10,000 times. And then you are going to create a package. This creation of the package is also a manual. It is as simple as like in Windows Mission, if you have 100 files. If you want to create a package, you are going to give right click and then add to archive, and you are going to select the extension of the package. But this is a manual stuff. But if it is once in a day, suppose if it is once in a year, that's okay to take care as a manual things. But it is not a recommended process in the real time. It's very difficult for us to download the code each and every time and to set the class path, to do the compilation, to do creation of this package manually. In order to eliminate this manual process, we do have a build tools available in the market. Just put your instructions, whatever you want to do with that, whatever the activities you are performing as manual, puts everything into the file. Suppose if you are using ANT as a build tool, we need to write down one build.xml file for it. Suppose if it is a Maven, we need to write pom.xml file. Suppose if it is a Gradle, we need to write down build.gradle. And then we need to put your instructions. Suppose in your build.xml file, you are going to mention like first check out the code, and second set class path. Next, you are going to create a, you are going to do the compilation, and then you are going to do the creating a var file. Put your instructions everything in a XML format in the build.xml file. So from this time onwards, you no need to trigger manually. When you got the build request, it's just a matter of logging into the build server and just simply calling this build.xml file. That's it. Your build.xml file is going to take care of all those activities, checking out the code, set the class path, compile, var file. Not only this, it purely depends on your application. The number of instructions are also going to be increased. But it's very simple now, and it is one-time setup. When you are starting a new project, at the time only you are going to create this build.xml file. From next time onwards, when you get a build request, just log into the build server and just call that build.xml file. Your build.xml file will take care of all the activities, whatever you have written the script in the build.xml file. Keep in mind, it is not mandatory for every time to use only the build.xml file name. It is not at all mandatory. You can have another file name as well. Next, how to do this installation of this build.xml file? How to do the installation of the ANT first of all? ANT can be installed either in a Windows machine or else a Linux machine. It purely depends on your application. Suppose if you are supporting for Windows, then take Windows as a build server. Suppose if it is Linux, then take the Linux machine. And in that mission, wherever the mission you are choosing for the build, in that mission, you need to do this installation of this ANT. Suppose if you want to do the installation of the ANT in Windows machine, it's straightforward installation, no need of any customizations. Just you need to type ANT free download from the internet, and you can simply click on this Apache ANT welcome. And here you can able to see the latest releases, and you can download the respective file from here. In this website, here you can able to see for downloading your distributions. You will get a GIF file, that's it. Just download the GIF file. Let me show you. If the GIF file was downloaded, After that, what we need to do? Just it's a matter of extracting that zip file. That's it. Nothing more here. Just download the zip file from the internet and then extract that zip file so that you can able to see the some list of the files here. And what is the version you are using? You are using 1.10.1. Just download the zip file, extract it so that you can able to see the files which are there in the ant location. After this, you need to set it in a environmental variable. Why you need to set in an environmental variable? What is the purpose of it? What will happen if you didn't set in the environmental variable? Not only this ant, either it can be a Java or else any software. When you install any mission, you need to set it in a path because you are explicitly telling to your computer stating that here is the my software location, so that when you try to use the and commands, at the time it will go and collect the information from the environmental variable. Suppose if you extracted this if you extracted this zip file and you didn't set in the environmental variable, is it possible to work with ant now? No. So it's mandatory to set in environmental variables. Just go to my computer, right click properties, go to this PC, right click properties, and then click on advanced system settings, and then click on environmental variables. But here you can able to see two types of variables. One is user variables for build and the second one is system variables. Please make sure to set in a system variables. Simply go and select path variable and simply click on edit option. And here you can able to see tools Apache and till bin I give. Why it is mandatory to give the till bin folder? Why not you can give till the Apache ANT 1.10.1? Why you need to specify till the bin folder? Because in the bin folder you are going to have executable files. If you look at the folder structure of the ANT, in the bin folder you are going to have executable files and Windows batch file. That's the reason we need to give till bin folder. But if you look at here, you can able to see the lib folder. What is the use of this lib folder in the real time? In general, what lib folder contains? Lib folder is nothing but it is a collection of jar files. If you go inside, you can able to see so many jar files here. You can able to see executable jar file, and here you can able to see so many jar files. What is the use of the jar file, and what is meant by jar file? First of all, in jar file, you are going to have one or more class files. Bundle of class files, you are going to call it as jar file. Multiple jar files, you are going to put it in a lib folder. So that's the reason I gave till bin folder, because we do have a executable files inside the bin folder. After that, I want to check whether the ant is properly installed this mission or not. In order to check that one, we need to use ant space hyphen version, and it is going to display the message what is the version you are using in your computer. Suppose if you are unable to get anything, if ant is not properly installed in this laptop, what is the error message we are going to get it? If suppose installation failed, or else if you didn't set in the properly in the environmental variables, you are going to get a message like ant is not recognized an internal or external command. In real time, if you see that error, you can easily identify the issue. Either you didn't install properly, and the second option is maybe you didn't set properly in the environmental variable. These are the only the two areas we need to check if you got a message like ant is not recognized an internal or external command. So I already set properly in the path variable. That's the reason I can able to see my software and I can able to see the version. Now we need to write one build.xml file. For that one, either you can use Notepad++ or else you can use Notepad, any editor you can use it. What is the first tag in Ant? How to start with Ant scripting? We are going to use project and we need to specify the name equal to. Suppose I am working for an Android application or else banking application. Maybe I'm going to use like this banking. And please make sure to close this project, otherwise you are going to get syntactical error. And here I want to know whether my build.xml file I'm in a position to call or not. For that I'm going to have one echo message. This is as simple as like system.out.println in Java. Echo message equal to, suppose I'm having one message, welcome to banking. And please make sure to close this particular tag. It is mandatory in case of ANT, not only in ANT, in HTML or XML tags. See here, I'm closing the project and I'm closing my echo message also. Let me save this file and then execute this XML file. How to save this file and in which format you want to save this one. Suppose my computer and I'm going to save it in a G drive. Go to G drive and then click on create a new folder. Maybe I'm going to create and underscore stuff and type stuff. Simply click on open. Let me check whether this was created or not and stuff. Not created. Let me create once more. File, save as, ng, and underscore stuff. I'm going to store it as a build.xml file. Build.xml. Let's select all files, all types. Build.xml. Click on save. Now I want to execute this build.xml file. I am done with my activity. So open the command prompt and go to the location of wherever you have your build.xml file. In our case, we have in a G drive. Go to and-stuff folder. Here we do have a build.xml file. How to check? You can use the dir command. See here, you can able to see the build.xml file. So I want to call that build.xml file. We are going to use some different technologies in the real time, like go and call the XML file, or else trigger the XML file, or else kick off the build.xml file. I'm just going to type and. When I type ant over here, the first rule of the ant is it will go and check for the build.xml file in the current directory. What's your current directory now? G and underscore stuff is the current directory. So it will go and check for the build.xml file in this current directory. Type and you can able to get the message also. So you are properly in a position to execute your build.xml files. Let's see the more tags in ant what you have in ant. Suppose what will happen if I have the same statement twice. Now the scenarios are like, is it going to be executed only one time or else two times or else is it going to throw any error? Let me check. Just type and when you type and it will go and search for the build.xml file in the current directory. See here it is able to call and then it is able to display your messages. But what will happen if I have the same statement outside of the project? Anything you can use the spaces here. That's not a problem. You don't have any syntactical error if you have the space as well. What will happen if I write down a tag outside of the project? Is it allowed or not in the AND script? Just let's check. I'm just going to type AND. So first rule of the AND is it will go and check for the build.xml file in the current directory. Simply click on enter. You can able to see the message and it is properly giving in which line you are getting an error. Line number 7. The markup in the document following the root element must be well formed. That means whatever the tags you want to use it in the build.xml file. Let's put everything inside the project only. We should not use outside of the project. And one more thing, we do have a more tags like targets. Let me create one target here. Suppose target name equal to, I'm going to use the target name called savings and then I'm going to close this particular target. And I'm going to have one echo message here inside this particular target. Echo message equal to, maybe I'm going to use a message called welcome to saving section. And I need to close this particular line. I have saved this file and I'm going to execute this particular ML, this particular XML. Just type ant here. When you type ant, it will go and search for the build.xml file. That is the first rule of the ant. And the second rule is it will go and execute project level statements. Let me check the output. Here you can able to see only the echo message. One echo message you can able to see. Welcome to banking. Go and check here. We have two echo messages. One echo message is there between the project. You can able to see here. This echo message belongs to the project level, but this echo message belongs to a target level. It didn't executed this target level echo statement. It executed only project level statement. This echo message is present inside the target level. But I want this output also. Then use default here. Default equal to savings. Let me run this program again. First tool of the ant is it will go and check for the build.xml file in the current directory. Yes, we have a build.xml file in the current directory. Second rule is it will go and execute the project level. This echo statement is inside the project level. Third rule is it is going to look for the build default target in the build.xml file. If it is able to find default target in the build.xml file, it will go and execute that particular target. If it is unable to find the default target, then it will simply execute the project level and then it will come out of it. Let's run the program. If you observe here, you got the two echo messages this time now. One is project level and the second one is target level also. But suppose if I don't have this default target and if I'm going to pass from the command prompt and space and target name, you can directly pass from the command prompt. The first rule of the ANT is checking for the build.xml file in the current directory. Second rule of the ANT is check for the project level execution. Third rule is if you are passing any target from the command prompt, go and execute that particular target. If not, then go and search for default target in the build.xml file. If you are unable to find any default also, then come out of the loop. Just execute project level and then come out of it. Let's see. Welcome to banking and welcome to saving section. Suppose if I have more than one target, suppose I am going to have one more target like this, loans, and I'm going to have the message as loans. What will happen if I have a default target like this? Now if I execute this build.xml file, first rule of the ANT is check for the build.xml file in the current directory. So it will go and search for build.xml file in g ant underscore store. Second rule of the ANT is go and execute project level. This echo statement is there inside the project. Let's have this echo message at the end also. Even though this echo message is at the end of the line, but still it will take the process like from top to bottom. This echo message in a project level, this is also in a project level. So first it will finish the project level execution. Third rule of the ANT is if you pass any target from the command prompt, it will go and execute that particular target. I'm not passing any target. Then it will go and check for the default target in build.xml file. Yes, in the default, I do have a target that is called saving. Suppose if I don't have this default target also, then it will simply execute this project level and then it will come out of it. Let me run this program now. Here you can able to see welcome to banking in, and welcome to savings section. Because in the default you have a savings. Suppose what will happen if you have a loans target? Just simply type ANT here. Here you can able to see project level execution, and then you can able to see your target. First rule of the ANT is checking for the build.xml file in the current directory. Second rule of the ANT is project level of execution. Third rule of the ANT is if you are passing any target from the command prompt, it will go and execute that particular target. If you are not passing any target from the command prompt, it will go and execute the default target. But if you don't have default also, then it will execute project level and then it will simply come out of that particular process. Suppose what will happen if you have a two targets in the default section. Let me have this one. Savings comma loans. I'm including two targets. Is it allowed in case of ANT script or not? Just go and check. Build got failed. What is the reason for build failure? You can able to see target. Savings comma loans does not exist in the project banking. What it is trying to do? It is trying to check for the target name with savings comma loans because it is not checking individual target name. It's not looking for savings target. It's not looking for the loans target. It's looking for savings comma loans target. So this is not allowed in ANT script. Suppose what will happen if you execute like this? Is it allowed or not in ANT scripting? Let's run this program now. Element type project must be followed by either attribute specifications. This is also not allowed in case of ANT scripting. And we'll see one more scenario. Is it okay to have two defaults? Let's see this example. Just type ANT. And here you can able to see the message as build failure. What is the reason for it? Attribute default was already specified for element project. So defining the default target, default tag twice in build.xml file is not allowed. We need to have at least only one default target. It is as simple as like in real time. Even in the real time also, we are going to have only one option in the default section. The same approach here also in case of ANT. Suppose if we are using like this and if you are calling the build.xml file, you can able to see only the saving section here. But I'm not able to get this message. But I want to execute both the targets at a time. Is it allowed or not? Is it possible or not in the build.xml file, in the ANT? Because in this build.xml file, I have a project level execution. I do have a targets. I have a two targets, savings target and the loans target. But in the default section, it is allowing me only for only one target, that is savings or else loans. But I'm interested to call both the targets. How to call? Can pass from the command level. That is allowed in case of ANT. ANT space savings comma savings space loans. We should use it. We should not use savings comma loans because if you use savings comma loans, it will try to find out for the target for savings comma. Yes, it is also allowed. Savings comma loans also allowed and savings space loans also allowed. But in the real time, in most of the cases, we are going to use with spaces. Savings and then loans. Suppose I want to execute loans first and then savings next. That is also allowed in ANT. ANT space loans space savings. The way you defined your targets in the command prompt, in the same procedure, it is trying to execute your targets. Suppose if you didn't pass anything, then only it will go and search for the build.xml file. If you are passing any target from the command level, it will not at all bother about your target in default section. It will bother only if you didn't provide any target from the command prompt. But suppose if you have one more target, let me write down one more target for credit card. Target name equal to credit card, and let me close this particular target. And then here I want to use one echo message. Welcome to credit card. And I need to close this tag also. Suppose I want to trigger all the three targets at a time. Is it possible or not? Just use hand space. Target name is savings, and the next target name is loans, and the next target is credit card. So you can able to execute your targets. But in real time, suppose if you have 100 targets, you want to execute all the 100 targets at a time. But it is very difficult to pass the targets from the command level each and every time. Whenever you got the build request from the development team, as a DevOps engineer, it's very difficult for me to pass all the targets from the command prompt. In that case, how to handle? We do have one more tag in ANT, that is most important tag, that is depends target. Let me have here. Depends equal to, suppose I am going to mention loans. Let me save this file, and then I'm going to execute simply as ANT. What will happen if I execute ANT now? First rule is checking for the build.xml file in the current directory. Second rule is project level of execution. This is inside the project. This is also inside the project. Next tool is if you are passing any target from the command level, it is going to be executed. But I am not passing any target. So obviously it will go and check for default target. What is the target you have in default? Savings. So first it will come to the savings target. But before executing these savings targets, it is going to look for the depend section because savings target was dependent on loans target. So first go to the loans target and finish the statements whatever you have in the loans target and come back to savings section and then execute the statements whatever you have in the savings target. Let me run this program so that you can able to understand it. Here you can able to see loans and then savings. I didn't pass any target, so it went for the default target, that is savings. It come to here this savings, but it was depends on loans. So first it went to the loans, it finished the loan target, it is back to savings section now. Suppose in this scenario you can able to call only two targets, but I want to execute all the three targets. Then use like this. Depends equal to credit card. Let me execute this one. First tool of the ANT is checking for the build.xml file in the current directory. Yes, we have a build.xml file in the current directory. Second rule is project level of execution. This echo statement is inside the project. This is also inside the project. Third one is, are you passing any target from the command prompt? No. Then it will go and check for the default. What you have in the default? Savings. So first come to the savings section. But here this savings section was depends on loan section. So first it will go to the loan section. But again, loans was dependent on credit card section. So before executing this loan section, it will go to the credit card section. First, it will go to the credit card section and it is going to execute whatever you have in the credit card section. Once this target is finished successfully, it will back to loans target. And if it is successful, then it back to savings section. Here you can able to observe the output. Credit card, loans, and then savings. This is the one way to call all the three targets at a time, or else you can call like this also. No need to pass here. You can pass here also. That is also allowed. Loans, comma, credit card. Let's simply save this file and then execute it. We need to make sure to close this particular tag. Simply type ANT here. First, checking for the build.xml file in the current directory. Yes, we have a build.xml file. Second one is go and check for the project level statements. This is inside the project level. This is also inside the project level. Third rule is, are you passing any target from the command prompt? No, you are not passing any target from the command prompt. Then go and check default target. In the default target, we do have a savings target. First, it will come to the savings section. But your savings was depends on two targets. What are those? Loans targets and then credit card target. So first go to the loans target. When it comes to the loans target, it is going to execute whatever the statements you have inside the loan. Once this loans target is completed, it will back to here and then it will go to the credit card. And it will go and execute the statements whatever you have in the credit card section. If both the targets are completed in the depend section, then it will go and execute the savings section. This is the output for this program. Suppose if you have like this, what will happen in the real time? Depends equal to, I'm going to use credit card. What is the output? You are going to get it. But this XML file I'm going to call just as ANT here. Check for the build.xml file in the current directory. Yes, I do have a build.xml file in that current directory. Second rule is project level of execution. Go and execute this statement and then this statement. Third rule is, are you passing any target from the command level? No. In that case, it will go and check for the default target. The default target would do have a savings. So first it will come to the savings. But savings target was dependent on two targets. What are those? Loans target and then credit card target. So first it will come to the loans target. Come to here. But your loans target was depends on credit card. So first go to the credit card and then execute the statements whatever you have in the credit card and then back to loan section and then execute whatever the statements you have in the loans. So back to here and the next target is credit card. But in the loans it was dependent on credit card. At the time you already executed this block of code whatever you have in the credit card target, but this time you are using credit card. Will it go and call this credit card target again or not? Because it already went when you are going to execute the loans target. It is not allowed in case of ANT scripting because this block of code is already executed when you are executing this loans target because your loans was dependent on credit card. So even though you mentioned execution of the same target twice is not allowed in case of ANT scripting. Just let's type ANT here. See here, we got credit card section and then loans and then savings. But credit card is not executed twice because that is not allowed in case of ANT scripting. Next, what will happen if I'm going to have like this loans, but this time I'm going to have like this savings. And how to comment out the lines in case of ANT scripting? We need to use this command. This is the way we are going to comment out the lines. Now see here, in the default you have a savings and it was dependent on loans. But when it comes to the loans, but again it was dependent on savings. So it will back to here. But your savings depends on loans again. So it will come to loans. But your loans again depends on savings. So it will go to here. This we are going to call it as circular dependency in AND. Is circular dependency allowed in case of ANT script or not? It is not allowed in ANT script. Let's see here. Just type ANT here. Here you can able to see circular dependency savings, loan savings. So circular dependency is not at all allowed in case of ANT scripting. So we should not use in this way. Suppose if I execute now, the program is going to be success. Suppose if I'm passing like this and space loans, but in build.xml file you already have a default target as savings and your savings target was dependent on a loans, right? But this time I am passing and space loans. Now here the question is that is it going to be execute this loan section or else this default savings target? The rule of the ANT is if you are passing any target from the command prompt, that will take the highest priority. If you are not passing any target, then only it will go and check the default target. Even though you specified default target as a savings, but you are passing loans from the command prompt. So your loans target will take the highest priority because you are passing from the command prompt. Let's execute this one. Here you can able to see. You can able to see the output of only loans, even though you have the savings section as default here. And one more thing, suppose I didn't created my file name as a build.xml file. Maybe I have created like install.xml file. How to trigger that one? It is as simple as like and space -f space install.xml. If we have a name of the file other than build.xml file, then we need to call that XML file like this. But if you have a build.xml file, either you can use and to trigger that XML file, or else you can use and space -f space build.xml also. And is it mandatory to be in the same working directory? No. Either you can use relative path also. It's not mandatory. We need to have the same exact file location. Either you can use absolute path also, so that you can be in some other drive and then you can trigger that XML file. First rule of the ANT. Check for the build.xml file in current directory. Second rule of the ANT is project level execution. Third rule of the ANT is we are passing any targets from CMD, go and execute those targets. If you are not passing any targets from CMD, then go and check for default target in build.xml file. Suppose if you don't have default also in build.xml file, then simply execute second rule and come out. These are the rules we have in the ANT. First rule is checking for the build.xml file in the current directory. Second rule is project level execution. Third rule is if you are passing any target from the command prompt, it will go and execute those targets. If you are not passing any target, then it will go and check for the default target in the build.xml file. If you don't have default also, then it will execute project level and it will come out of that loop. And circular dependency is not allowed in case of ANT scripting. Circular dependency is not I'll load in. How to pass targets from the CMD. You can use and space target name space target name. How to execute build.xml file. And that's it. It will go and check for the build.xml file in the current directory. Check for build.xml in current directory. Suppose if you have a build.xml file, suppose if the file name is install.xml, how to execute? It is as simple as like ant space -f space install.xml. How to check version of the ant you are using? Simply open the command prompt and simply type ant space hyphen version.